Hello people, today we're gonna talk about Git again. This is gonna be part 2 of Git for Beginners series, and you, my dear viewer, sorry I didn't catch your name, and me, Ivan, are gonna talk about a few other commands. So what's on the menu today? So today we're gonna talk about git log and git diff. I briefly touched them in the previous video, but not with any details. So we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about pushing into main. And why it's probably not such a great idea. We're going to talk about the branches. Get it? Trees, branches. And we're going to make a PR and merge it. All right, ready? Let's go. Okay, before we start, let's do a little recap of what happened last week. So we did a clone, we did some changes to the README file, we staged it, we committed it, and we pushed it. So you can see that we have now 2 commits, and one was when the repo was initiated, and one was when we modified the README file. So now the content of it is that. So let's have a look here. We have 2 commits, so let's do it in the command line. So the command for that is git log. We already used it in the previous video, but we're gonna talk about a little bit more details about what you can do with this command. So let's do just a basic git log, and as you can see we have just 2 commits, right? The original one, and the next one. Okay, so that's pretty basic and doesn't help you much. But there is a thing which you could use to do a search. The first one I'm going to show you is a search by the file name. So if you run the command saying git log readme, this will show you all the commits which have touched the readme file. I'll remind you that I only have 1 file, so if I create another file, now we have 2 files, and if I say git log another file, you see there is nothing, there was no history for this file in the git, therefore it cannot find anything about it. Another way to do the search is by the commit name. So as you can see that we have a commit which says add event to readme, so you could do git log, and then you can say grep and a part of the commit message. So for example, if you say readme, so you can only see this one commit which have changed the readme. A third way of searching is searching by the content of the file. A reminder, what's inside of the file is hello from Ivan. So if I say git log -s and I say hello from, you can see I found this commit. Let's just show that it's not working when I just provide some crappy string. I didn't find anything, so there is no such commits which have this content. So this is all useful in combination for you to try and actually find if you have some vague memories of the changes. You can say, oh, maybe I touched this file, or maybe I changed this string to that string, or maybe my commit message had a certain word in it. That will help you to find them. All right, so now let's talk about git diff. As you remember, git diff will show you the difference between something and something, right? And you could use it in different situations. One of them is when you have changes in the local file system area that are staged. It's going to show you the difference, or you could check for the difference between this commit and that commit, right? So let's start with looking at our local area first. So as you remember, we just created a file, which is another file. And if we look at inside of it, there's nothing, right? So if I do the git diff, it's not gonna show anything. If I do git status, I have an unstaged file, and git diff doesn't show you the content. Well, first of all, there's no content. So let's maybe add some content into the file. So we're gonna add hello from another file into the another file. If we look at the content again, we see that now this file is modified. If we do git status, we have a new file and we have modified it. So if we add this file, this is a command we learned earlier. Oh, actually that's a bad practice. So let's add the file manually and check status. We have the git status. Let's do the git diff. Now we're gonna see something, right? Wrong. So why we not see it? Because this file is not yet in the repo, kind of. So there's nothing to diff against. There's no previous version. So if we added, committed, and then modified it, then we'll be able to see the git diff, right? So let's abandon this idea and let's modify the README again. So let's have a look what's inside of README. All right, so I have hello from Ivan there, and let's add more stuff. Let's clear the screen so it's not clogged. So I'm gonna add a new line into README saying another line. I'm gonna append it to the README. So if we look at the content, oh no, it's not another line. It's technically one line. Oops. It's okay. So let's look at the status. So we can see that we have modified README. So if we now run the git diff, it will show us that yes, indeed, README have been modified. And you see it's checking you version A of README and version B of README. So version A has this line, and version B, which is the later one, having this line. Pretty good, huh? Okay, now let's try to have a look at the difference between the commits. And before we do that, we need to tidy up because we just added a new file and we actually didn't commit it. So I'm gonna quickly do that. Just to recap you how to do it is git commit -m, which is short for message, and I'm gonna just say add another file. All right, so and now we have modified README again, which is if we look at the git status, we see that we are ahead because we didn't push, and we still have more things to do. And we could do git diff, a reminder that to see the content of this change. Maybe I'm very happy with this change, and I just want to add it. So let's go with that. Git status again. Okay, so now I can make another commit message and say add another to. Okay, clear and git status. So we can see that we are ahead by 2 commits, which is a good enough state for us to look at the git log again and try to see the difference between the 2 commits. Okay, so let's have a look at git log. Okay, so you can see as I showed you in the previous video, right? This is my local one, and this is the cloud one. So cloud one doesn't yet, only knows about these 2 commits, right? If we go here, we only know about the 2 commits. This to our local, I didn't push them yet. It doesn't matter in this case. So if we do the git diff, so I want to compare two commits, right? So I know that I have modified readme in this one. So I want to compare this one with this one. You can see that it shows me that in difference between these two commits is in the readme, and the difference in the readme, it was that and became this, and there was also another file have been added, and there was no such file, and now there is such file with this line. Pretty good. This is pretty much concludes the git log and git diff, and I'm gonna show you one more command, which is combining the both of them. Okay, to do it, we need to do a little bit of preparation, and I'm gonna modify. Let's check the git status again, just to be sure that okay, we're ahead. Let's actually push that so I don't lose my work. Okay, so now everything is up to date, and I can modify the readme again. I will say maybe 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna append it to the readme. So if I do git diff now, oops, git diff, it will show me that it has modified something, right? If I do git log now, it shows me what's happening. So to see what's exactly in this last commit, I can just do the git show, and you can see that it shows me the commit, right? This one, and then it's also showed me the diff which was associated with that commit, which is kind of useful command to have in your repertoire. All right, so to recap, git log, and you could just look at the log of the a history, or you can search by the commit name, by the file content, and by the file being modified. We have git diff, which shows you the difference between, let's say, staged and how it was before, or between the two commits. And we have the git show command, which kind of combines the two together to a degree. Remember the beginning of the video? I said we're gonna talk about the PRs and branches and all. I lied. It's gonna make this video too long, so I decided to split it into two and have a separate one on the branching. So, usual drill, put a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps me to stay motivated and to do more content like that. And see you next week.